Have you ever felt like you're always one step behind in a world where others seem to control the room without even trying? Maybe you've been in a conversation where someone twisted your words with a smile or made you doubt your instincts without raising their voice. It's not luck, it's not charm, it's strategy. Most people react. They speak too soon, reveal too much, and lose their position before they even realize the game has started. But you can be different. There is a quieter kind of power, one forged in discipline, clarity, and restraint. A power rooted not in manipulation, but in mastery of self. What if you could read intentions before words were spoken? What if you could shift dynamics without ever needing to raise your voice? These aren't tricks. They are rules. Timeless, unshakable, and built on the foundation of Stoic wisdom. If you're ready to stop being moved by the world and start moving through it with purpose, then stay with me. These 6 insights will change how you see power and how you carry it. 1. Master emotional stillness. Have you ever watched someone fall apart in the middle of a conversation? Their tone shifts, their voice rises, their words become frantic. That's not strength. That's someone who's just handed over their power. In every room, every disagreement, every negotiation, the man who controls his emotions controls the outcome, not because he dominates through noise, but because he remains unmoved while others unravel. True Stoic power begins with the understanding that emotions are not facts. They are impressions, fleeting sparks that the wise man observes but does not obey. You don't need to erase your emotions, but you do need to command them. A man who lets anger lead him, who reacts to every slight, who chases every insult with explanation or rage, that man is ruled by others. He's a puppet with too many strings. When you raise your voice in anger, you may feel powerful for a moment, but in truth, you've revealed your weakness. You've shown that someone else controls your inner state. That's not Stoic mastery, that's surrender. Emotional reactions are predictable, and what is predictable is vulnerable. The moment someone knows they can upset you, provoke you, steer you, they own you. They don't need to defeat you. You'll do it yourself. Think back. When was the last time you were pulled into an argument? Maybe someone insulted you, questioned your worth, or mocked your effort. And without hesitation, you answered. Maybe you raised your voice. Maybe you sent a sharp reply. Did it bring peace? No. You were pulled from your position and thrown into their frame. You stopped acting from principle and started reacting to provocation. That is how most people lose, not in public, but within. The Stoic, however, waits. He watches. He sees insult as a test and anger as a trap. He knows that silence can reveal more power than shouting ever could. Imagine standing in front of someone trying to provoke you, and your pulse remains calm. You say little, you smile slightly, you don't chase their chaos, you let them burn out while you remain unshaken. That is what true control looks like. Some will tell you that showing emotion makes you human, that it builds connection, and yes, it does, if you control when and how to reveal it. But when you bleed your feelings out every time someone pushes you, you become readable. And what is readable is controllable. A man who can be easily read is a man who can be easily played. In a Stoic life, emotional restraint isn't about being cold. It's about preserving your center. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself daily, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." That's not a poetic line, that's a strategy. The world will pull, push, provoke, challenge. People will insult you, test you, misunderstand you. And every time they do, you face a choice. Do I respond from impulse or from inner discipline? The man who can pause before he speaks holds more power than the one who dominates with volume. Imagine someone insults you in front of a crowd. Everyone expects you to retaliate, but you stay silent. You look at them calmly, maybe you nod, maybe you walk away. The silence echoes longer than any words could. They expected to pull you into their arena. Instead, they find themselves standing alone, in confusion. This is how you shift power without force. You set the frame, and the frame is everything. If you're always reacting, then someone else is setting the terms. They decide what matters. They decide what gets your attention. But when you hold your emotions in check, when you remain composed, you define the environment. You determine what's important and what's not. And most of all, you determine who controls the moment. Here's a hard truth. Most people are slaves to emotional reflex. A sarcastic comment makes them defensive. A dismissive tone makes them angry. A delay in response makes them anxious. They think they're thinking, but really, they're just following every emotional current without question. The Stoic man doesn't do this. He decides what is worth his energy. He knows that not every fight is worth fighting, and not every opinion is worth hearing. He lets others reveal themselves through their noise, while he builds power through stillness. You want to command respect. Then don't explain yourself emotionally. Don't justify your worth through arguments. You're not here to win approval. You're here to stay grounded in your values. Even in confrontation, you don't need to engage with fire. Let your calm be your message. Let your stillness be your statement. Watch as others grow nervous trying to make you flinch, and watch them crumble when you don't. Think like a general, not a soldier. Let others waste their arrows on emotion while you prepare for the longer campaign. Keep your tone level, your mind focused, your responses few. When you do speak, let it be sharp, deliberate, impossible to ignore. Don't let people bait you into reacting. Let them chase your silence instead. There is great power in restraint. It disarms attackers, unsettles critics, and strengthens your posture in any room. When you respond only when necessary and with purpose, people listen. They may not admit it, but they respect it. Because deep down, everyone recognizes composure as a sign of depth. So the next time someone tries to push you, pause. Ask yourself, is this reaction worthy of me? Or is this just a test of my discipline? You don't have to respond to every storm. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is nothing at all. That's how power works in the Stoic world. It's not loud. It's not theatrical. It's still, deliberate, immovable. Start with yourself. Hold the line inside. The rest of the world will adjust. And once you master that, you're ready to learn the next rule. 2. Let silence lead. In a world where everyone rushes to speak, silence becomes the rarest and most powerful signal of strength. People mistake noise for influence, but the Stoic knows better. True power isn't in the volume of your voice, but in the weight of your presence. When you are silent, you are not empty. You are listening, watching, measuring. And while others rush to prove themselves, you conserve your energy like a blade kept sharp in its sheath. Look around and you'll see it. Most people are terrified of silence. They scramble to fill it, to avoid discomfort, to escape the space where things feel uncertain. But that uncertainty is where you begin to win. When you stay quiet, others project. They start guessing what you're thinking. They interpret your stillness as judgment or wisdom or indifference. And the more they guess, the more they reveal. Not because you demanded it, but because they couldn't sit with the silence you created. This is where the Stoic finds his leverage. He doesn't interrupt. He doesn't speak to chase approval or defend his ego. He observes. He lets the noise of others show him what they fear, what they want, what they're trying to hide. And when the moment comes to speak, his words strike with clarity because they are few and deliberate. There's a story of a Roman general who once sat through a council meeting without saying a word. His enemies mistook it for weakness. But when he finally spoke, his single sentence ended the argument, shifted the direction of the campaign, and won him the loyalty of the room. That's not storytelling, that's strategy. The Stoic doesn't speak to fill space. He speaks to create impact. And every silence before the word makes that word more powerful. Silence also tests the soul. Can you sit across from someone and say nothing while holding their gaze? Can you let the discomfort build without rushing to fix it? Most people can't. They start rambling, over-explaining, revealing details they didn't plan to. They confess, they soften, they negotiate with themselves just to escape the pressure. And all you did was wait. All you did was hold the line. In a negotiation, the man who speaks least often wins. Not because he's hiding, but because he's anchoring. He allows the other person to rush, to reveal, to offer more than they needed to. And then he speaks with simplicity, cutting straight through to the truth. That restraint is power. That discipline is persuasion. Outside of high-pressure moments, silence still works its magic. In a business meeting, holding a pause after a question shows you are not eager to please. In an interview, allowing a moment of quiet signals confidence, not confusion. And in everyday conversation, a man who speaks less is valued more. Why? Because people sense that he is not grasping, he is not trying to be liked. He does not need to prove himself. This is what makes silence sacred. It is a reflection of inner sufficiency. When you don't need to respond to everything, when you don't flinch at every comment, people feel it. They start treating you differently. They lean in when you speak. They wait for your opinion. They watch your reactions. And when they get none, they start questioning their own. The Stoics taught that control begins within. And silence is one of the purest signs of that control. It's not passive. It's not weak. It's a position, a tactic, a discipline. It says, I know who I am. I know what matters. And I don't need to perform for your understanding. And here's the deeper truth. When you're always talking, you become ordinary, predictable, accessible. But when you speak with restraint, you become rare. And in this world, rarity commands respect. Let your voice be something earned, not something spilled in every direction. Speak like each word has a cost. Let others come to you. Let them wonder what you're thinking. Let them work for your perspective, because what is scarce becomes valuable. Silence creates contrast. It gives shape to your words, meaning to your presence. Without it, your speech becomes noise, but with it, even a single phrase can shift the entire room. The goal is not to be mute, it is to be measured, to understand that timing matters as much as content. And when you finally speak, after holding your silence like a blade unsheathed at just the right moment, the effect is unforgettable. So, train yourself. Learn to be still in a room that craves sound. Let others stumble over their need to be understood. Let them fill the air while you stand firm in your presence. And when you do speak, make every word count like it was chosen in battle. This is not just conversation. It is strategy. It is composure. It is dominance through stillness. Master silence, and you no longer need to convince. You command. And from that position of calm strength, you're ready to learn the next rule. 3. Be strategically misunderstood. There is a kind of strength that doesn't announce itself. It doesn't need to. It watches in silence, lets others speak, lets others guess, and quietly controls the entire field from the shadows. This is the art of psychological misdirection, a stoic weapon of perception and restraint. It's not deception, it's discipline. The discipline to remain unreadable, to hold back just enough truth that others fill in the rest on their own. And in that space between what they think they know and what is real, you take control. Most people walk through life as open books. What they feel is written on their face. What they believe is broadcast in every word. Their strength, their insecurities, their thoughts, all laid bare. There's honesty in that, yes, but also exposure, predictability, and anything predictable can be outmaneuvered. The Stoic understands that power doesn't always lie in what is shown. It often lies in what is held back. You don't need to impress anyone. You don't need to prove anything. You need only to remain composed while others reveal themselves. Let them misjudge you. Let them assume you're slower, softer, less prepared. Let them think you're disinterested or uninformed. That illusion becomes your cover. It lowers their defenses. They relax. They speak more freely. And in that comfort, they slip. They speak carelessly. They show you who they really are. Not because you forced them to, but because you allowed them to believe they were in control. Meanwhile, you're watching, listening, remembering, and when it matters most, you move. There's a Roman wisdom in this, the kind of subtlety Marcus Aurelius alluded to when he wrote, "The best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injury." In other words, do not mirror the aggression, do not respond in kind, do not show your full hand. Instead, remain still. Let them think the game is theirs. And when the moment is right, reveal the sharpness they never saw coming. This strategy isn't about being someone else. It's about understanding when and how to show parts of yourself, and when to keep the rest concealed. You might downplay your knowledge in a conversation, not out of false humility, but to see who overstates theirs. You might let someone believe they've outsmarted you, just to watch how their overconfidence exposes the flaws in their thinking. You might agree publicly, only to reserve your true conclusions until you've gathered enough to act decisively. All of this is misdirection, but done with purpose, not deceit. The average person plays life in straight lines. What they say is what they mean. What they feel is what they show. But you are not average. You are deliberate. Where others move fast, you pause. Where they respond with emotion, you remain centered. You give just enough to keep them guessing, never enough to be fully known. Because when you are fully known, you are vulnerable, and when you are misunderstood by your own design, you are untouchable. Think of the quiet man in a room full of talkers. He nods, he listens. People speak freely around him because he gives nothing away. They mistake his calm for passivity. But what they don't see is the calculation. Every word, every gesture, every glance is noted, stored, measured, and when the time comes, he speaks, clearly, concisely, and the entire room turns. Not because he was loud, but because he was precise. Even in moments of confrontation, this tactic holds. When someone pushes you, insults you, tries to provoke a reaction, you give them none. Instead of resistance, you give them a nod. Not of agreement, but of indifference. That silence, that stillness unsettles them. They expect defiance. Instead, they meet composure. And it's in that moment they begin to doubt themselves. That doubt slows them down. That hesitation gives you space. And that space is all you need. The best kind of misdirection is not about pretending to be someone you're not. It's about withholding just enough so people walk themselves into the wrong conclusions. And when they realize it, it's too late. You've already positioned yourself where you need to be. It's not manipulation, it's mastery of impression. And in a world that rewards noise and speed, your restraint becomes your leverage. The Stoic doesn't show his strength until the moment demands it. He is willing to be overlooked, underestimated, even dismissed, because he knows the moment of revelation is coming. And when it comes, it strikes harder, because no one saw it coming. You don't need to dominate every conversation. You don't need to chase recognition. You need only to remain patient, purposeful, and perfectly unreadable until it matters. So learn to let others reveal themselves. Let them talk. Let them assume. Let them think they've figured you out. And while they do, you watch, you prepare, you wait, because the one who seems harmless is rarely guarded against. And when the true edge is finally revealed, it is 10 times sharper. Let this lesson remind you, power is not always about presence. Sometimes it's about absence, about what is not said, not shown, not explained. In that space, you gain clarity. In that clarity, you gain advantage. And with that advantage, you step forward, ready for the next rule. 4. Turn absence into strength. What is seen too often loses its weight. What is always available begins to feel ordinary, and in a world obsessed with presence, the rare man becomes unforgettable. Scarcity, when applied with Stoic intention, is not a tactic to appear aloof. It is a deliberate form of discipline. It says, my time, my presence, my attention, these are not given freely. They are earned, and they are measured. Most people give themselves away without thought. They respond to every message, show up to every gathering, speak in every moment of silence. Not because it is needed, but because they fear being forgotten. They confuse constant presence with influence, but what they actually create is predictability. And in the Stoic view, what is predictable becomes powerless. You don't need to be everywhere to be remembered. In fact, the less they see you, the more they notice your absence. And absence, when chosen wisely, becomes louder than any attempt at visibility. It forces others to wonder, to think, to ask questions they would never bother asking if you were always around. That mystery becomes your advantage. The less information you provide, the more others project value onto you. Not because you claimed it, but because you withheld just enough to make them fill in the gaps. This principle works because human nature, untrained by reason, always chases what seems limited. When you become selective with your energy, when you stop explaining every decision or responding to every invitation, you signal something subtle but powerful, that your life is governed by priorities, not by demands. Take the example of a man who speaks rarely in meetings. While others rush to contribute and be seen, he waits, he listens, and when he finally speaks, the room quiets. Not because he demanded attention, but because he earned it through silence and timing. His presence feels weighted, not scattered. And his opinion feels valuable, not repetitive. That is the effect of scarcity. It's not about absence for the sake of mystery. It's about aligning your presence with your purpose. Epictetus reminds us, if you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid. Why? Because it means you've stopped trying to be seen by everyone. You've withdrawn from the need for constant validation, and that withdrawal, done with clarity, makes your presence sacred. Scarcity also teaches others how to treat you. If your time is always available, people treat it as if it's worth nothing. They cancel, delay, overstep, because you've taught them there is no cost. But when you set clear limits, when you pause before replying, when you reserve your energy for what matters, people adapt. They come prepared. They listen more closely. They measure their words because they know yours are not given lightly. This applies even to conversation. A man who speaks with restraint forces others to lean in. His words are not forgotten because they are not wasted. He becomes someone whose silence carries meaning and whose speech carries weight. That is scarcity in motion, a kind of presence that speaks more through what is withheld than what is expressed. Consider this. Elite circles are built on this same principle. Not everyone is allowed in. Not everything is explained. The rules are unspoken, the doors are guarded, and the silence surrounding them speaks louder than any advertisement. It's not about arrogance, it's about preserving the value of what is rare. Apply this to your own life. Pull back from the noise. You don't need to post everything. You don't need to be reachable at all hours. You don't need to explain why you disappeared. Disappear and let your silence do the speaking. Reappear when it matters and let your presence feel like an event, not a routine. This isn't about playing games. It's about training others to see you as someone whose time is sacred, whose focus is not scattered, and whose attention is not for sale. When people see that you move on your own schedule, that you are not begging to be included, they begin to respect the force that drives you. They stop assuming access and start earning it. And most importantly, you begin to protect your own energy. You stop running toward every opportunity to be seen and start walking with intention toward what aligns with your higher standard. You don't dilute your presence, you refine it. Let others rush to be everywhere. Let them exhaust themselves chasing attention. You stay silent, stay measured, and when you move, move with clarity. Because in a world full of noise and exposure, the man who is rare becomes revered. Let this remind you, you don't need to be seen by everyone. You need only to be remembered by the right ones. And now that you've mastered scarcity, you're ready to uncover the next principle of unshakable power. 5. Lead quietly through reflection. There's a quiet kind of strength that doesn't shout or confront. It doesn't demand authority or impose control. Instead, it moves like water, subtle, patient, and precise. This is the strength of mirroring. A Stoic understands that influence doesn't always come from force. Sometimes the most effective way to lead is to reflect what's in front of you, gently guide it, and let the other person feel like it was their own idea all along. People trust what feels familiar. When they sense that you speak like them, move like them, even pause where they would pause, something disarms inside them. They stop resisting. They feel seen. And once someone feels understood, you've crossed a threshold no argument or logic could open. The Stoic doesn't need to win debates. He wins minds by making others feel safe in his presence. And mirroring, not mimicry, but calibrated alignment, creates that safety. It begins with observation. You notice how someone sits, how they phrase their thoughts, how fast or slow they speak, where their energy sits, high or low. Then you match it gently, not like a puppet, not like a game, but with deliberate presence. Just enough for them to think, this person understands me. And that moment of recognition, though it may seem small, opens doors that brute force would slam shut. Everyone wants to be understood. Not everyone admits it, but it's true. And if you enter a conversation with too much difference, too quickly, too intense, too polished, too fast, they'll put up walls. But if you meet them where they are, in rhythm, tone, or body language, they soften. They relax into the moment. And in that stillness you find your opening. From here, something almost invisible happens. They begin to follow your lead. Not because you push them, because you've created alignment. Influence, after all, is not control. It is movement. And when someone feels emotionally safe, they will move with you. That's what mirroring does. It builds rapport without demand. It builds trust without pressure. You haven't taken control. They've handed it to you. This is especially powerful in subtle power games. The Stoic knows that dominance doesn't come from raising one's voice or taking up space. It comes from guiding the tone of a conversation without the other person even noticing. You shift the rhythm slightly. You slow your speech. You ask one thoughtful question, and if they follow, in speech, in posture, in tone, you know you're in position. If they don't, you adjust. You wait. You stay present. This isn't performance. It's strategy wrapped in stillness. Even in conflict, mirroring becomes your quiet shield. When someone comes in hot, reactive, ready to argue, you meet their intensity for just a moment, not to fight, but to acknowledge. And then, like a Stoic navigating a storm, you lower your energy. You slow your voice. You create calm within yourself first. And slowly, almost imperceptibly, they follow. Not because they lost, but because you gave them something steadier to match. This is how you de-escalate without ever drawing a weapon. You lead them out of their own fire by stepping in just long enough to show them the way. The same principle holds in persuasion. You can have the most logical argument in the world, but if you're out of sync with the person in front of you, they won't hear you. Words bounce off armor. But when you first reflect their tempo, their concerns, their worldview, even briefly, their guard drops. And that's when your words can enter. Stoic influence works not through emotional appeal, but through presence. A grounded man speaks less to be heard and more to be felt. Once mirroring has established trust, you begin to steer. You change pace, shift topics, adjust the tone. You become like a conductor shaping the rhythm of the conversation. They think it's a good talk, but you've orchestrated the flow from the first word. This is not manipulation. It is moral strategy. You are not leading people for personal gain. You're leading them because clarity, calm, and connection are more effective than argument, volume, or pride. And here's the deeper truth. People remember how they felt with you more than what you said. Mirroring isn't about being liked. It's about being aligned. And when someone feels aligned with you, they trust you, even if they don't fully understand why. That's when influence becomes effortless. You don't have to convince. You don't have to argue. You simply stand in quiet authority, and they walk beside you without resistance. The Stoic doesn't need the spotlight. He shapes the moment without claiming it. He understands that guidance doesn't always come with titles or control. Sometimes it begins with silence, with presence, with the ability to mirror calmly, then lead gently. In doing so, he becomes the still point in the chaos, the one others lean toward without knowing why. So next time you enter a conversation, don't rush to be heard. Watch, listen, reflect, guide, and remember, when you master the rhythm of others, you begin to shape the flow of everything. From here, the next level of influence becomes possible. You're not chasing control, you're walking it into the palm of your hand. 6. Walk away with clarity. Power is not always in action. Sometimes it's in absence. A Stoic man understands that strength isn't just about knowing when to speak or strike. It's about knowing when to leave. The most dangerous presence in any room is the one that doesn't need to stay. He is unattached, undisturbed, and unmoved by outcome. He isn't here to prove himself. He's here on principle. And when that principle is violated, he doesn't argue. He exits. Most people cling to relationships, positions, conversations, even conflict, long after the value is gone. Not because they believe in it, but because they fear losing it. And fear keeps them locked in cycles of compromise, mistaking suffering for loyalty. They endure what they should walk away from. They tolerate what they would never advise others to accept. That's not resilience. That's quiet desperation dressed as patience. But the man with a plan, the man who has trained his mind and clarified his values, he knows the power of walking away. He doesn't make a scene. He doesn't burn bridges. He simply removes himself with such clarity that the silence left behind speaks louder than any argument ever could. His absence creates pressure. His withdrawal forces reflection. It leaves others questioning their position, not his. This is not about being cold. It's about being clear. You've already set the terms. You know what aligns with your direction and what doesn't. So when something violates that, you don't plead and you don't explain. You depart. That is the highest form of discipline. To leave, not from emotion, but from reason. Whether it's a conversation that has turned fruitless, a deal that wastes your time, or a connection that drains your peace, you don't try to fix everything. You assess, you decide, you exit. Not out of bitterness, but out of self-respect. You've already done the work of deciding what you will accept, and because of that, you never feel trapped. This clarity makes you unpredictable, not erratic, but unconstrained. People can sense when you don't need them, and in that moment, everything shifts. In business, your terms become stronger. In relationships, your presence commands respect. In every social setting, you move with quiet authority. Why? Because you are not ruled by the fear of exclusion. You've built your life in such a way that no external attachment controls your inner state. Even in argument, the wise man knows. Sometimes the most powerful response is silence, followed by departure. Let them raise their voice. Let them spin the story. You walk away and let the emptiness do the speaking. And later, when they replay the moment, wondering why you didn't stay and fight, that silence becomes your echo. That absence becomes your imprint. Walking away protects your future. It protects your time, your clarity, your energy. It shields you from bitterness because you left before you were drained. You turned the page when the story no longer served your growth. And that is what people notice, even if they never say it. They recognize the man who isn't desperate, who doesn't cling, who isn't afraid to walk away. And when they know you can leave, they begin to treat your presence with reverence. That is the quiet power of the exit. And from that stillness, you move forward, prepared for whatever comes next. True power doesn't need to shout. It moves quietly, sees clearly, and chooses wisely. These 6 rules are not tactics for domination. They are disciplines of presence, sharpened by restraint and guided by reason. When you master your emotions, speak less. Let others misjudge you. Hold your distance, guide with subtlety, and know when to walk away. You no longer react to the world. You shape it. Most people live on the surface, caught in noise, trapped in their need to be seen. But not you. You now carry the calm of a man who knows himself. So if this message stirred something within you, take a breath and let it settle. Subscribe if you're ready to keep sharpening this edge. Drop a comment saying, "Stay 5 steps" to anchor it in your mind. The world doesn't need another voice trying to prove something. It needs a presence that can't be ignored. Be that presence. And I'll see you in the next lesson.